Hello and welcome to another Studio Takes. This one is an important one. At least it is for me, and I hope it is for you too. I think it could have a significant impact on your life and your sales as a voiceover person and in your dealings with those who buy your services. It's called Joining the Buyer's Tribe. It's coming up next. We are ready for action.
All systems go.
Thanks for joining me today. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about tribalism today and joining the buyer's tribe. I want to mention a couple of things to start with. One of them is subscribe. Join us and be with us from week to week. I'm going to try to do these at least once a week, probably in some cases more often than that. And as we do more videos, I think you'll find that we're covering more ground, and hopefully we're covering some things that are of importance to you. If there are things we're not covering that you would love to hear about, be sure to comment below and tell us the subjects that you'd like us to cover here on Studio Takes. Visit thegigdoctor.com, thegigdoctor.com, if you'd like some help with coaching, voiceover coaching, or help with your Fiverr gig. We can get together with and go through your whole gig and really do a good job of maximizing what you're doing for the best possible results in search and in sales. And sales is what we're all about today, but it may be in a way that you're not used to hearing about. Today's session, our Studio Take, is about joining the buyer's tribe. What is that all about? I've always felt, and I guess I've noticed it more and more over the years, that a big part of the world's problems is because of something that we could call tribalism. You know, think about when you were in high school and it was your team, your team, your football team, whatever, would be playing against teams from the surrounding areas. But it was always the nearest town to yours that was the big rival, right? That was the one that, a lot of times it'd be the homecoming game. It would be the kind of the critical game of the season. It was us against them. A lot of times there would be fights over girls between neighboring towns, things like that. What does that sound like to you? It really, to me, it just sounds like what it is. It's tribalism. It's one tribe against another. And it is such a part of human nature that it carries over into everything. I remember in elementary school, there were a couple of classes in, say, like second grade, third grade. And without anyone having ever taught me to feel that way for any particular reason, I felt in a way that, the other third grade class was kind of the enemy. There were two schools, elementary schools in our hometown, the Minnehaha and the John A. Johnson. And I was at the Minnehaha. And the John A. people, they were considered to be kind of, the ones across town who were not enemies exactly. But remember when we all got together at high school, the two schools converged into the high school, there was a certain feeling that I was kind of teaming in with the enemy there. There were all these people from the other school that I didn't know and somehow didn't trust. Why are we like that? But we are. We really are. Does it carry over into other things in life? Well, look at the international scene. Look how nation is against nation. And a lot of times it's the neighboring nations that are at each other's teeth the most. But in general, it's us against them. Where is all of this going? Well, let me carry it over to sales. I remember some of my first experiences with people who were professional salespeople, let's say, people who did sales for a living, and being kind of astounded at the backstabbing feel that a lot of them had. They were so nice on the sales floor, but as soon as you'd get in the coffee room with them, you would hear them talking down their customers. It was as though the customers were from the other tribe. They were kind of the enemy. They were the one that you needed to conquer, that you needed to overcome, that you needed to outwit, outsmart, so that you could make as much from them as possible and get as much from them as possible for as little of what you were offering as possible, just like it were stone knives and bearskins that you were trading. Tribalism really is what it boils down to. And does it carry over to our sales? Does it carry over to our attitude toward those that we do business with? Yes, it absolutely does. There's no reason to think that it would be any different. It's the same human nature. It's the same psychology, the same brains working. It's just working in another area, another field of life. The thing that I've been thinking about a great deal lately is how much nicer things are when the person that we're dealing with looks at us not as the enemy, but as a colleague, as a friend, as someone who's on the same side with us. So my whole thing today is about jumping over the fence, if you want to think of it like that way. Getting over on the buyer's side, joining the buyer's tribe, so to speak. And I've been experimenting with that myself in preparation for today's get-together. I've been thinking about my buyers as being good friends. How does that impact the way I treat them? Well, of course, when you first start out with a buyer, a lot of times they are just as nervous and tribal as you are, and maybe sometimes even more so, depending on their psychology and yours. And so they may not be real willing to let you into their tribe right away. But the best way to get into their tribe, to get on their side, to be their colleague and their partner that you're teaming with, is for you to make the first move, to show by the way you communicate with them, by gestures of goodwill, by the way that you handle their orders, by the way you voice their copy, by the care that you give to what they've supplied you with, regardless of whether they're a $5 orderer or a $5,000 orderer. If you're doing a network quality job on their voiceover either way, you are going to win them over. And sometimes it's harder to win over a low-paying seller, as we know, than it is a high-paying seller. But the way to overcome those kinds of obstacles is not by viewing them as, unfortunately, we often hear said, bottom feeders. These are human beings, and they may be in another country, and they may be living in squalor, and they're trying to just make a living. And if our approach to them is, they're a bottom feeder, they're not really worth our attention, we'll just hurry up and do something for them, send it on its way. That's a good way to maintain that kind of tribalism forever. So one of the things that I'm trying to do in every aspect of my sales, regardless of who it is, what their budget is, or even what their attitude is to try and think of them kindly and to treat them kindly. It's amazing the way people respond to kindness and how badly you and I and they respond to the opposite. So if what we can do for them is more important than what we can do for us, they're going to sense that, and they're going to come around more often than not. Now, occasionally you're going to have someone that's just kind of a stinker, and no matter what you do, it's not going to please them, and we've all had people like that. But almost, I would say 99% of the time, even someone who potentially might be more of a kind of a troublesome person, when we really, really take the time to investigate their needs, to kind of sense where they're coming from, to say, what can I do to make this better for you? How will this improve? Even when we deliver it, say, hey, is this good? Is this going to work for you? Is this what you had in mind? Find out from them. Are they happy? Have you met their needs? One of the best ways to really hurt a relationship, I think, is, by obviously just looking out for your own interests and not identifying what their interests and their needs are. That's working from the other side of the fence rather than hopping the fence, joining their tribe and saying, what can we do together to make this better? So that's my suggestion, and I think it's a life-changing thing. If a person can start to view the person that they're selling with kindly, like a member of their tribe, just watch what happens. And it isn't all about just, the psychology of trying to get people on your side so that they'll buy more from you. Certainly that kind of thing will happen. It's a natural offshoot of what we're doing. But if that's not our goal, if our goal primarily is to be the kind person that's going to help the other one out, that's going to try and make their life better, they'll not only be more likely to come back and sell or buy from us, but they're also more likely to think of us kindly in turn. So we do everything we can to treat them kindly, to make their day, to look for what we can do to help them to get on their side of the fence. And not only will we see more sales from that, but I think that we will just emotionally feel healthier ourselves. We won't have that kind of an antagonistic feeling toward the people that we do business with. And we will also be more patient if initially they feel tribal toward us, because we know that with the right kind of treatment, most of them can be won over to our side. That's today's Studio Takes. Be sure to subscribe and join me for the next round and give this a try. We'll talk to you next time.
You give me a call.
Hello.
Hello? Hello, I think.
Hello, cutie pie.
Until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life.
Goodbye.